This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
More Chumba Casino fan mail. Love this. It says, Dear Ryan, I love Chumba Casino. They're so much fun. I love the wild ride from the social slots to the slingo to jackpots quicker than a 6-time real spin. Everybody's finding their fun at Chumba Casino. Why don't you find out for yourself? Head to ChumbaCasino.com and enjoy hundreds of casino-style games for free with your welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ, there are a lot of amazing people on this earth. But what happens when one of these inspirational people fall from grace? They make a decision that changes their lives forever and changes the way the world sees them. In the story I'm telling you today, that's exactly what happened. This is the case of Oscar Pistorius, aka the Blade Runner. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband Russ true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's your boy,
Russ. And this is Jess.
They know who it is.
And we're back for another week, so welcome back, everybody. So before we get started, I definitely have to do a Jess messed up.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I haven't done a Just Messed Up in a while, but
For all you people that don't know, a minute is a really long time in New York. So if someone says it's been a minute, it isn't like, oh, it was very recently. That means like it's been a while.
Yeah, I think the last Just Messed Up I had to do was from our Jack the Ripper episode, which was a while ago. But I have to do one because I didn't know in our last episode, the Mary Bell case, Mary Bell talks about a solicitor, and you on the spot asked me what a solicitor was, and I didn't know what a solicitor is because it's something from the UK, and I wasn't sure what it was.
You know what I thought a solicitor was?
What?
Someone that calls you and tries to sell you a used car warranty from India.
No. Well, no. In the UK, a solicitor is a lawyer. So that's what she meant when she says the solicitor will get me out of this. I didn't know what that was and I didn't research, but you asked me what it was, and in the spot, I kind of tripped over my words.
So I'm going to be your solicitor right now.
Okay.
I don't think that was a Jess messed up because you just didn't know. So you don't mess up if you didn't know. You just were uninformed.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. But I should have known because I researched the case. And sometimes you ask me questions about things that I don't research within the case that I should, because it's my job to do the research. So I felt like it was just messed up. But I appreciate you trying to get me out of that one.
Well, do your job better then next time. I tried to help you.
You did
Forget
try to
it.
help me.
I take it back. I unsolicit that whole thing.
Anyway, so that was it.
I don't know if people have been watching, but Jess has been making these annoying videos lately. You hear that dry laugh? You may not realize she's laughing unless you have it turned up loud, but Smeagly is laughing on the other side of this table. Waking me up with these random facts about true crime.
I've only done 2, but
When you did it another time too.
I did one when you were in the shower, and I did one this morning when you were waking up.
So you're picking some really opportune times, but what I have to say is they're getting a good reaction. But keep provoking her, guys, because payback is going to be a bitch. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it may be when she least expects it. But there will be some revenge.
Well,
So
see.
you're going to get her in trouble, folks.
I know, people are really encouraging it. Everyone loves seeing you annoyed.
It's a little... I mean, I don't know why I'm always annoyed.
He's like grumpier old men, like the movie Grumpy Old Men, but he's 40.
Not 40. I don't know why everyone mixes up my age.
He's 40. So, well, maybe I won't do it again, or maybe I will.
It's all
I guess
right.
We'll see.
Payback. You don't even know because I'm petty.
You are. Oh my God, he is so petty. We nicknamed Russ Petty Pendergrass because he is one of the pettiest people.
Yeah, but since I'm a little younger, right now you could call me Petty Wop. I'm going to get you. Petty LaBelle. Do this all day.
I love puns. Well, do you have the review of the week, Russ?
Oh, yeah. So this week's review of the week comes from Jilly DD. It says, no corns and no smoke given. 5 stars. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and recently vacationed up north. Listening to your podcast on the drive, I readied myself for New York. Russ taught me the saying, don't want none of this smoke, and the term corn, in parentheses, cornball. While in New York City, I was ready for any situation. In the back of my mind, I kept thinking, what would Russ say? Hashtag WWRS. I'm disappointed to report I didn't get a chance to call anyone a corn or threaten them with this smoke. Oh well, maybe next time. Thanks for the entertainment during the 16-hour drive. Keep up the good work, Jillian.
Aw, that's
Gee,
cool.
so 16 hours.
Well, that is a long
listening
drive.
to me. You're a saint.
Yeah, now she might have gotten a glimpse into my life.
So let's keep that hashtag going. Hashtag WWRS.
What would Russ say?
We might have to get some of them rubber band bracelets.
Oh, yeah, the WWJD bracelets. I forgot about that, except it would say WWRS. That's
Yeah.
really good. That was a good one.
And I'm pretty sure while you were here, Jillian, you came across corns. You just didn't call them out. There's
That's
a lot
true.
of corns.
She seems like a nice Southern girl. She probably didn't want to disrespect anybody and call anyone a corn.
Like, you're a corn in New York if you buy the wrong Timberlands. So you got to buy the Tims with, like, the double sole. If you buy the one sole ones that are cheaper, you're a corn.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't buy those.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a good review. I thought that was really funny.
Very
when
clever.
I read that one.
Very clever.
Yeah.
There's always so many. Like, now
There
it's getting to
are.
the point where it's very hard to choose, and I leave some out, but I can't just sit here and read reviews all day.
I know. There are some really good ones, though.
So I guess now it is time to read off our list of patrons.
Mm-hmm.
In Patreon, we do True Crime and Chill. It's a bonus episode once a month where we review a documentary on like Netflix, Hulu, or some platform where you could find documentaries.
Yeah, this month we just did The Raincoat Killer, which is about a serial killer in Korea. And this episode got a pretty funny response because we were both a little drunk, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah, so normally Jess is sober during these. And
No, normally I'm not.
No, I mean during this episode.
Oh,
like
during the
regulars.
main feed, yeah.
I mean, I'm not. Today I'm drinking Woodford Reserve. It's pretty good. I put a picture up on Instagram of my view. Mm-hmm. So, cheers to you guys. These week's patrons are Lynn, Joe, Audrey, Rachel, Morgan, Tiffany, Addie, Sonia, Michelle, Rhonda, Carrie, Kim, Samantha, Ryan, Carly, and Michelle. And I was just thinking of the DMX song. But that's why I laughed. I was going to say about 3 Kims, LaToya, and Tina. But appreciate you all very much. Cheers. I got my Woodford here.
All right. Well, so I originally had a different case planned for this week, but like an idiot, I decided to change it last minute, which created a lot more work for myself. But, you know, it is what it is. So I was chatting online with one of our like OG listeners and crime family members, Melanie from Australia.
With the big ass head.
Oh, leave her alone. They make fun of each other's big heads. Don't think he's just calling her a big head person. They go back and forth all the time. But anyway, we were speaking online. She's from Australia. And we were talking about the case that I was planning to do, that I will still do in the future, but I decided to switch it up because she mentioned the case I am doing today, and it sounded very interesting. And then I went down this like rabbit hole, and then I was like, maybe I should do that case instead.
So I'm guessing this is an Australian case.
It's not, actually.
Oh, so no dingoes or roos.
No dingoes or roos. It's not an Australian case. But I had never heard of this one, and I'm actually really looking forward to telling you about it. So we're a true crime podcast, and we talk a lot about murder. But when you think really like deeply about it and what it takes to actually take someone's life, like actually murder another human, especially someone that you have previously claimed to love, it's honestly a little jarring to imagine, you know?
That's a lot of the cases, though, because a lot of times it's the husband or the wife killing each other, or it usually seems like someone you know. But I think that's because you're more likely to kill someone you know because you're around them more.
That might be true, yeah.
Kind of like you're more likely to get in a car accident if you just drive more, like wherever you're at.
That makes sense, but
and
also...
And besides, like, wives being annoying, but...
Shut up. So could someone's anger and rage in a moment cause them to forfeit their morals enough to take the life of a loved one? Or was there really not much of a moral compass to begin with? Like, if you love somebody, can you actually go through with taking their life out of, you know, rage or when you're angry? Or did you not really love them to begin with if you can do that? That's kind of something that this case makes you wonder.
But if you're like one of those sociopaths or psychopaths, that means like you don't always empathize or have feelings. Like you might just be going through the motions.
True.
Kind of like how Dexter like got married and he was just going through the motions to hide himself.
Yeah.
And like go with what society views as norms.
Yeah, that's true. So this case is very interesting because we see a man who was an amazing athlete. He was an actual Olympic gold medalist. He went from being high on this pedestal to being shunned by many people. This case is out of South Africa. And in fact, a lot of people say this is South Africa's O.J. Simpson case.
Oh, damn. So he had a glove that didn't fit, so he got acquit?
No.
Did he have a Bronco?
I'm just saying because he was an athlete, he was well known, everyone in South Africa loved him. He actually has a pretty amazing story, and then he got caught up in this murder. And
what sport did he play?
I'm about to tell you.
Just say it.
He was a runner.
Oh, that's boring.
No, let me just tell you. So I was excited to do this one because out of all of our international listeners, I would say South Africa is like number 4 to 5 on our list of most listens. And I've gotten a few messages from South African listeners asking me to cover a case from there because we've only done Alison Botha so far, which is still one of my favorite survival stories of all time.
Not me, not today. Go look that up, Alison Botha.
Yeah, we did it like back in either early 2020 or maybe even 2019. It's one of the craziest and most amazing survival stories. So definitely go back and listen to that one. But that's the only South African case we've ever done. So, South Africa, I see you, I hear you, and I got a case for you.
Don't go in the water, South Africa. I hear there's a lot of sharks out there.
Well, this is the murder of Reeva Steenkamp committed by Olympic gold medalist Oscar Pistorius. Are you ready?
Yes.
So Oscar Pistorius is an incredibly interesting human. He's a Paralympian, and he was actually born with a super rare condition called fibular, I'm gonna butcher this, fibular hemophilia.
You're a nurse, bro.
Yeah, I know, I almost butchered it, but fibular hemophilia, which is when you're born with no fibula. So your lower legs below your knee, you have a tibia and a fibula. Those are the two bones that connect your knee to your foot, right? So the tibia is your shin bone. Your fibula is the bone on the side that holds your calf. And it's also part of the top of your foot. So if you're born with no fibula...
You could run fast as fuck.
No. If you're born with no fibula, you don't have a top of your foot and you don't have anything connecting your calf. Okay?
So they had to probably give him some surgery to make him be an Olympic athlete.
You're going to hear his story because I'm going to tell you all about it. So when Oscar was first born, the doctors told his mother he would never walk. He would be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. But instead of giving up, his parents took him to 11 doctors as a baby to find a solution or some other option for their son. Eventually, they found a doctor who came up with this crazy and probably like a genius solution. They decided to amputate his legs at the ankle, right? So amputate his feet off and use his heel bone as the bottom of his leg that he could walk on. And they decided to do this when he turned 1, which is the exact time that children start to learn to walk.
I'm so confused. So they cut what off?
His foot.
Okay, they cut his foot off, but they took a bone from where?
His heel. They took his heel bone.
That was on his foot.
And they put it on the bottom of his shin bone.
So they put his foot back.
No. They took his heel bone and they put it on the bottom of his shin.
So he had like a nub.
Yes, but he could balance on it because it's his heel bone and his heel bone is strong. So he learned to walk on his heel bones.
It's like he had a peg leg, but it was his own leg.
Exactly.
Like a pirate.
It looks like 2 of them.
Oh, wait, he has 2?
Yes, they're both. He was born with both legs having no fibula.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So, but the doctor thought...
I wonder if he has a foot fetish because he don't got no feet.
You're so random.
I'm just thinking about you're like, oh man, those are feet.
So, genius idea. This doctor was like, let's do this around the age of 1 because that's when babies learn to walk. So if we develop this type of, quote, peg leg situation, but he's 1 year old, humans naturally just adapt, right?
And who would have thought that he'd adapt so well, though?
And
you would think, he'll be all right. He might tip over a little here and there. Like the wind comes or someone's standing too close in line and they bump you. I hate when people stand too close in line.
Yeah.
But,
Well, they decided to do the surgery at that time. So he learned how to walk on his stumps, pretty much. And after that, by 14 months old, they had developed a prosthetic that didn't look like a foot yet, but it was like enough for him to be able to balance.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you only have stubs, right? What size shoe do you wear?
He doesn't wear shoes. He has prosthetics.
But I was wondering, because I want to wear shoes.
I'll show you video footage later, and I'll post video footage of him walking on his stumps so you can see how he walks on them.
Maybe I would say, give me a little prosthetic so I could buy smaller sneakers because they're cheaper and I could get a lot more.
Well, in the beginning of his life, at 14 months, they made these prosthetics. They didn't necessarily have complete feet on them, but they were enough to where he could balance and walk on them. His father ended up leaving the family when Oscar was young. I don't know if it was from the pressure of having a disabled child plus everything going on, who knows, but his mother became a single mom and he had 2 other siblings. So she was raising 3 kids by herself.
He's not that disabled. He just probably has a little hard time balancing, but that's not a big deal.
Well, no, I mean, he couldn't walk without, he learned to walk like this, but yeah, his mother ended up not treating him like a disabled child. And that was something that was huge for him because she said she wanted to show him that he could do anything anyone else could do. She didn't want him defined by his disability.
But you know what he probably missed out on?
What?
You know when like you're a little kid and they do this little pitty went to the market?
Oh, God.
He never got any little pitty. They all went to the market, wee, and never came home.
Leave them alone.
All his pitties went to the market.
Okay. God. So, being that Oscar grew up not being treated like a disabled child, he loved playing sports. And he ended up going off to boarding school with his brother, and he made it onto the rugby team. So he had 2 prosthetic legs and he played rugby, which is an incredibly violent sport and a tough sport to play. Like, it's pretty much like playing football, but you're throwing the ball backwards. You know how rugby works?
Yeah, I saw rugby.
Yeah, so
I think that's like an Australian thing or something, right?
Well, this was South Africa. I mean, rugby is all over the world aside from in America. We don't have rugby, but other countries have it.
What's this dude's name again?
His name is Oscar Pistorius.
I just want to look him up. I sometimes like to see the person.
Okay. So he played rugby because he went to this boarding school, right? And then in 2002, Oscar's mother developed liver failure because she was taking a medicine for a very long time. And one of the side effects of the med was liver disease. And she developed liver failure. And in a matter of months, she died. And Oscar was only 15 years old when she died. So it was a really big blow to him because this is his one cheerleader. Like his mom was huge in his life and it was a big deal.
I like how she didn't let him use his disability as an excuse.
No, not at all.
You could and this goes out to everyone, you could overcome anything.
No, and he does. I mean,
almost anything.
He was a huge inspiration to the world. He's
the dude. So I remember watching this now because I just saw him and I was thinking, is he the dude with like those carbon fiber legs? They're not legs, but they're like...
He's called the Blade Runner, but I'm going to get into that later, yeah.
Yeah, where they were wondering, is it an advantage because they're kind of springy and stuff like that?
I don't think so. So let me explain why. I'm going to go on. So his mom ended up dying when he was 15 years old of liver failure. And then at age 16, which was only 1 year later, while he was playing rugby, he got a knee injury. And I'm sure it was probably like ACL or MCL that he tore. It didn't specify which one. But regardless, his orthopedic surgeon said, that's it. You're done. You can't keep playing rugby. You have to stop because you don't have enough room to mess up your knee. Your legs are already vulnerable enough.
Bro, you're already only really from the knee down already. I saw a picture. He's basically, he got a little nub past the knee.
Yeah, exactly. So his doctor was like, that's it. No more rugby. But he is a very competitive person. He loves being physically active. So he did tons of extensive physical therapy. And he just needed to play sports. So what he decided to do was try out for the track team. And he tried out for the track team with his regular prosthetic legs. This is before he had those blades that they developed for him.
Yeah, and those things are very high tech.
So when Oscar met his head coach saw a lot of potential in him because he just saw the fight that the kid had. He was like, yo, this guy is prosthetic feet and he's running along with these people who have fully able legs. Like, this guy has heart.
I wonder if him having those legs gave him more determination. And if he was born with regular feet and legs, he may have just went through regular life.
Yeah, it probably did because he wanted to prove something. I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
So the head coach of the track team hired an engineer because he wanted him to develop some type of apparatus that he could run on. And that's when they made his running blades.
That's a sick name, Blade Runners.
Yeah. So then in 2004, at 17 years old, he raced a group of single amputees. So he was the only double amputee. The other guys were single amputees. They all had one blade and one regular leg.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they were hopping.
No, they had a blade, just like him.
Fooling around.
So he raced a group of single amputees, and as the only double amputee, he won by a landslide.
With the blades?
With both blades, yeah.
And they probably had a regular fake leg.
No, they had a blade and a regular leg.
Oh.
So it just showed that someone who had double amputee could beat people who have one able leg and one non-able leg.
I need to get a set of blades. I want to try these joints out.
Well, you can't. You don't have amputated legs.
Maybe I could like put my heels like at my butt and then like put them on my kneecap.
No, Russ, it doesn't work like that. So then he started getting noticed for his speed, and he was also very handsome. Like, he's a handsome guy. So on top of getting noticed for his speed, he's very handsome. He also has a really nice personality. So like,
and he's still very young. He's only 34 right now.
Exactly. He was in his early 20s.
This was very recent.
This was back when he was 17 years old. He raced these guys. So back then, he was very personable. He was on TV and the media, and he started getting like a lot of attention. And then he had, trainers and other athletes who believe he was good enough to compete in races with able-bodied people, like in regular races with people who have able legs. So he started racing against able-bodied people and crushing it. And he became huge in South Africa. He was in Time Magazine's top 100 most influential people. And by 2012, he went to the London Olympic Games and he became an international athletic star. And he was known as the Blade Runner. Like, he was reported all over ESPN. It was a big deal. And he alone brought a lot of attention to the Paralympics because he is somebody who is disabled, who's competing against fully able-bodied people, and he's beating them. So it was a big deal. And actually, for the last relay, because he wanted to kind of prove a point and prove that people with disabilities are just as able as people without disabilities, for the last relay in the 2012 London Olympics,
he moonwalked the whole thing. He did it backwards.
No, he got 3 other guys who were disabled. So he
it's pretty sick.
He had 2 guys who had missing arms and 1 guy who had 1 missing leg, and they were the 4-person team for the final relay, and they won. They beat the regular able-bodied guys.
I'd be scared to run if I had no arms, because if you trip, the only thing catching your fall is your face.
It's honestly pretty amazing to see, because I watched a 4-part documentary to prepare for this, and watching them all race was like really inspiring, seeing them race in the Olympics and winning. Like, it was really, really cool.
Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all, because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like, you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. You guys already know, because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you, because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh.
then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com, wifeofcrime1 for 15% off your first order. So then in late November 2012, he met and started dating this beautiful up-and-coming fashion model, and her name was Reeva Steenkamp. So according to friends and family, Reeva was a sweetheart who had a huge career in fashion on the horizon. And she was already doing like big magazine covers. She was also a lawyer. So on top of being beautiful and a model, she was a lawyer and very smart girl. And she was a huge advocate for women's rights in South Africa, especially Black women. Because you have to remember, you know, for a long time.
But this is very like right now-ish, right?
No, it's not. It's the early 2000s. Well, it's 2012. So about 10 years ago. Back in South Africa, back in the day, there was a law in place called apartheid. You know,
I heard that name. I don't know what it means, though.
It's a law pretty much causing systemic racism and segregation. Blacks and whites were very separated. They lived in different areas. It pretty much just was a law that forced segregation. And she was a big advocate for Black women because a lot of Black women in poor communities were being raped and murdered, and they weren't getting attention. So she used to tweet a lot about it, and she was just big on that front. On the early morning of Valentine's Day, 2013, police were called to the home of Oscar Pistorius. When they arrived, they found the body of Oscar's on-again, off-again girlfriend, fashion model Reeva Steenkamp, laying on the floor at the bottom of the stairs. So paramedics pronounced her dead on the scene from multiple gunshot wounds.
Damn.
Oscar was found by police in the garage, crying.
You know what I think they need to do? Already got no toes, chop off his fingers, now he can't shoot no one.
Well, no, you have to listen, because this gets very interesting. He was immediately taken into custody, and he claimed he did shoot his girlfriend, but that he didn't know it was her. He thought it was an intruder coming into his home and hiding in the bathroom. And he shot at the bathroom door thinking there was an intruder inside when it was actually his girlfriend, Reeva.
Huh?
And he was incredibly emotional about this. So then rumors started swirling, and the media went nuts all over the world. Because, like I said, at this point, he's like world famous. Everybody knows who he is. From America to Australia, everybody knows this guy. So he is saying, yeah, I shot her, but I shot her by accident. I thought there was an intruder in the house. And some people bought it, and some people were like, no, there's no way. So the rumors started swirling. The media went crazy. And his family fully supported him and said they don't believe for a second that he was lying. Others had a different opinion, though. A woman whose daughter dated him in the past spoke out to media and said that she's glad her daughter stopped dating him because he had a history of violence and he was actually really mean sometimes and he would snap. The police did a press conference pretty immediately after the crime, which was a little irresponsible on their part because they didn't even finish their investigation before doing this police conference. And in the police conference, they stated that they found a cricket bat laying next to the body covered in blood. They also stated that her injuries were consistent with blunt and force trauma to the head. And they said that he had a history of domestic violence and that they found steroids and a lot of alcohol in the home. But all that stuff was a little bit exaggerated, so it was a bit irresponsible. But the media took that and just ran with it. And everyone, they just started reporting that he was on steroids, it was a rage killing, all this stuff. This was all denied by Oscar's defense team and his family. Oscar was charged with premeditated murder, which is the harshest charge you can get.
in South Africa. It's like being charged in America with capital murder. It means you planned a murder.
Okay.
And the
So it wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't like emotional in the moment. Like you thought about it, and I'm gonna go get this person.
So that's what they claim. They claim that he, well, not that it could have been spontaneous, but that he had planned. Like he picked up a gun and planned to shoot her with it. Like, you know, when you pick up a gun, you're going to kill someone if you point it at them and pull the trigger. So that's considered premeditated murder.
I thought you had to plan it a little more ahead. Like, oh, tomorrow, or I'm grabbing this gun and I'm going over their house. But if you're in your house and you grab the gun at the moment, I didn't think that was like premeditated.
Well, it is. I mean, you're grabbing a gun with intention to kill someone if you're pointing it at them and pulling a trigger. So,
well, then everything is premeditated because anytime you grab anything.
Well, not according to him. According to him, he thought it was an intruder. He didn't plan to kill her. It was an accident. So that would be not premeditated. That was his defense.
Okay.
So in South Africa, premeditated murder comes with a mandatory life sentence. Kind of like here. Like you get a life sentence or you get the death penalty.
Oh, and he's fucked in jail because you know what? No way they're giving him those Blade Runners. So he's going to be like flopping like a fish out of water and they're going to grab his butt.
He's very vulnerable. Yeah, he's very vulnerable. The defense team's only goal was to get him out on bail. Like they don't want him waiting in jail for his trial. So he had his bail hearing first, and that was their goal. His defense attorney's name was Barry Rue, and this guy was really good. He's like a well-known defense attorney over there, and he's very knowledgeable, and he's like notoriously rock solid when it comes to criminal defense. But equally as good was the prosecutor on the case, and his name was Jerry Nell. And this was going to be a showdown because they were both really good attorneys.
It's like a heavyweight fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyson versus Lennox Lewis or something.
Yeah, exactly. So on
one of them's going to bite someone's ear off.
So on the same day that Oscar had his bail hearing, Reeva's family were at a private ceremony cremating her. And they showed footage of it on the news, like simultaneously. Like this dude's in a bail hearing and this girl's family is mourning her loss. And it was just really weird, like this, that it happened on the same day, you know? So in order to make bail, the defense was actually smart about this because Oscar gave a very detailed account of his intruder narrative because their goal was to show he has nothing to hide. This is his story. This is exactly what happened, and this is how it happened. And this was their plan because they wanted to show that he's not a danger to anybody. This was all a mistake, a misunderstanding. So he gave a very detailed account.
I got to give it to him. That is a really good excuse.
Well, let me tell you what his whole story was because it's actually interesting and maybe you'll side with him because this case actually divides a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are firmly in his camp and say, no, this is very plausible. And then there are a lot of people on the other side that are like, no, this dude is lying. He shot his girlfriend because he was pissed. That's it. So his account of everything was that in the middle of the night, he got up to go out on his deck and grab a fan because the entrance to his deck was right off the bedroom, kind of like ours, right? So he went out on the deck to grab a fan. When he came back in, it was still dark, but he heard a noise down the hallway in the bathroom. So he claims that Reeva was still in bed. He assumed Reeva was still in bed because they went to bed at the same time. And that he walked down the hallway towards the noise and he sees the bathroom door is closed and he's hearing noises in the bathroom door.
Like poop splashing in a bowl.
No, he just hears noises. He didn't explain what it is, Ross.
Well, could have been.
And that he has his gun with him at that point.
Wait, so he sleeps with his gun?
He sleeps with his gun under his bed. So he grabs his gun because he hears this noise. He walks towards the noise in the bathroom. He sees the bathroom door close. He hears noises on the other side of the bathroom door. And he just shoots at the door 4 times. Boom, 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 boom. At the door. And then he hears kind of like a thump, or he hears Reeva cry. And then he realizes it's her. He runs back to the bedroom, turns on the light, sees that she's not in bed, puts on his prosthetic legs, runs back to the bathroom, picks her up, carries her down the steps, lays her on the floor to try to like either do CPR or see if she's good, and then calls 911 or calls his neighbor who calls 911, and then they show up. Now, the prosecutor obviously had a very different story. He says that what he thinks happened because of eyewitnesses saying that they heard screaming and yelling is that the couple had an argument in the bedroom. And like I said, this was confirmed by neighbors who heard fighting. And the prosecution claims that Reeva went to the bathroom and locked herself in because she was scared or she wanted to get away from him in the moment. And that's when Oscar then grabbed his gun and ran down the hallway and then shot through the door. And this proves premeditation and intent to kill, because you're not going to shoot at a room that someone's hiding in without thinking you could kill them, right? So a lot of people backed up Oscar because apparently home invasions are actually a big thing in South Africa. And a lot of people in South Africa have guns because home invasions are so huge there. People's homes get broken into a lot. It's kind of a thing. And it's broken into by like groups of people. They break into your house 3 to 4 at a time.
Oh, wow.
And they were showing videos. I watched videos of it, like people grabbing guns and shooting at burglars trying to get in their house. So it's a thing over there. And a lot of people believe that this is very plausible that he would have a gun. Because not only is it a thing, but also he doesn't have legs. So like if you're in the middle of the night sleeping and you don't have legs and you have someone intrude in your house and try to break in, you have to shoot at them because you don't really have a good defense in the middle of the night.
I guess that is a good defense, but
You can't protect yourself.
but that would be, I don't know. That'd be you could just use that excuse if you wanted to shoot her too, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
And you knew she wasn't in the bed. You just look at the bed.
Well, he claims it was dark and he just assumed she was in bed. And since he assumed she was in bed, someone else must be in the bathroom. That's what he claims.
Maybe when he's on his nubs, he's only like 3 feet tall and he can't see as high as the bed. He didn't see her in there.
No, he's not that short. There's videos of him. He's not that short it's only his feet that are gone, Russ.
I know, I'm just fooling.
So Oscar won his bail hearing and he was released on bail and he was put on house arrest until his trial. And during that time, his family hired a guy named Scott Roeder who owns a company called The Evidence Room. And their whole job, he flew from the US over there, and their whole job is to recreate a crime scene. So they went through step by step and recreated his whole narrative to try to prove that this is plausible, that this could happen.
That's stupid, though. That doesn't make sense when they do that, because you could recreate either crime scene. If it's basically just reenacting it. Like, it's like a skit, not a skit, but a reenactment on America's Most Wanted. How would they reenact it? Just because they reenact it that way doesn't mean it happened that way.
I agree
That's
with you.
stupid as fuck.
But they were using that to try to, make their case seem like it can happen. Like this is a possibility.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
They're corns.
Well, yeah. So they recreated the crime. And in South Africa, they didn't have jury trials. So in 1969, they totally got rid of jury trials. So instead, he would be judged by one single judge. And her name was Judge Masipa. She was actually a black woman. And in South Africa, like with their history, that's kind of a big deal to have a black judge for a famous white man's, trial. Also, which was a big deal about this crime, is for the first time they allowed the media in the courtroom. So like media had never been allowed to be in a courtroom before. This was the first televised trial. And it was a big deal for them. It was a huge decision that they made to do this. And a lot of people said, we should make this televised. Africans should know what goes on in their justice system. Like people who've never been arrested or put on trial have no idea what a trial even looks like, what lawyers even do. So they made the choice to allow media in the courtroom and to televise this entire thing. And, you know, a lot of it was also because he's so famous and he was like a big representation for their country around the world. So I think that played a huge part in it. But that's another thing that like sensationalized this whole crime. So both sides fought really hard to prove their cases. The defense even had Oscar walk in front of the court on his nubs with no prosthetic to show how vulnerable he is without his prosthetics. And they were trying to kind of gain sympathy from the court and show, like, if an intruder came in your house and this is what you deal with on a daily basis, you're disabled, how vulnerable are you? How quick are you, because you can't defend yourself, how quick are you to pick up a gun and pull a trigger if you hear an intruder in your home? Because you're so vulnerable that if anyone attacks you, you can't win without your prosthetic legs on.
But he's pretty strong.
He is.
He got big muscles too. I saw him when I looked at pictures.
Yeah, he does. But without legs, you don't have balance. I mean, without feet, you don't have balance.
That's true. He didn't have no toes.
So you can't balance. And if someone knocked you over, like, it's really hard to stand up straight without your prosthetics. So they were trying to show the court like how vulnerable he actually is. And they even had him walk in front of the judges without his prosthetics on. The prosecutor called a couple neighbors in as eyewitnesses who claimed to have heard a woman screaming prior to the shots, which that's a big deal when you think about that. You hear a woman scream, then you hear shots fired. That means that, you know, that's going to prove that this was not the narrative that he claimed it was. They also brought texts between the two, like records of their text messages, and 90% of them were described as loving and normal, but there were a couple texts from Steenkamp accusing Pistorius of jealousy and being very possessive, and one of them even said, quote, "I'm scared of you sometimes, of how you snap at me," end quote. That's what she sent to him. And she also, in another text message, described his behavior as nasty. So that kind of was trying to show that he wasn't this like golden child that everyone thought he was.
No one's perfect. So
no one is perfect, yeah.
I'm not really going with that either, because people could be nasty sometimes.
It's true. Yeah, you're totally right.
You're not always nice.
Neither are you. But that's just human nature. But I think they were just trying to bring people back down to earth and say, you know, this dude he's a great athlete and all, but like, let's not keep him up on this pedestal like he's like, you know, this angel sent from God or anything. Like, he's still a man, he's still a human, he still makes mistakes.
Yeah, there's going to be no way to really know. This whole thing is just going to go off of gut feeling.
Well, after a 50-day trial that spanned 7 months, Judge Masipa reached a verdict. Oscar Pistorius was found not guilty of premeditated murder, but found guilty of culpable homicide. Culpable homicide is like a mistaken homicide. Like, you made a mistake. You thought that there was an intruder there. It was actually your girlfriend. You shot it. You killed her. It's still homicide, but it wasn't an intent to kill her.
So they're saying that they believe him.
Yeah, they're saying they believe his defense. He was sentenced to 5 years, but he only served 10 months. And he was about to be released on parole until the prosecution appealed. And then his sentence was extended 2 times. The second and final time they appealed was in 2017. And the Supreme Court of South Africa stated that his original sentence was a gross misjustice and that it was incredibly lenient for the crime. And he was sentenced to 13 years. And he's in jail currently.
Damn. I wonder if he got legs in there.
He has his prosthetic legs, yeah.
The blades? So they probably got him some regular joints.
Yeah, he has his regular prosthetic legs that he wears on a normal basis. And he's probably going to be in, I think they talked about transferring him to more of like a protected custody area because of his vulnerability.
It's probably easy to get his cheeks.
But stop.
No, it's true. If you don't got no legs, where you going?
He has prosthetic legs. So they believe that the judge was lenient on him because of his fame. I mean, that's just what the Supreme Court said, but she obviously heard out both sides of the case, and hopefully she had enough integrity to give a ruling that she felt in her heart was right. But the Supreme Court was like, no, this was not okay. This woman deserves justice. Her family deserves justice. He deserves to be sentenced to a longer sentence. And they gave him 13 years in 2017. So he will now be eligible for parole in March of 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, and there's no way of knowing what happened.
Yeah, only the two of them know what happened, and she's dead, and he's maintaining this story the whole time.
So now, when they resentenced him, are they resentencing him as he's guilty of like killing her by mistake, but just giving him a longer sentence?
Yes. So they said that he is guilty, like his sentence or his conviction is still culpable homicide, but that the sentence of 5 years was way too low for that charge. So that's why they resentenced him to a longer. Because if he were guilty of murder, you know,
like the regular
premeditated murder, he would have gotten life in prison.
Now, I wonder, you probably don't know this, sometimes I ask too many questions, but what is the sentence? You know, they like what for like what they say he did, because sometimes when you go to jail, I'm gonna make a number up, they're like, oh, he's facing 5 to 20 years. You know what I mean? So I wonder what like the time frame he was facing.
Yeah, I don't know the exact time frame, but the Supreme Court and a lot of people in South Africa did say, like, if this was not a famous man, if this was a black man on trial, he would have gotten 13 plus years. So that's kind of like why they went with this sentence.
Well, everyone should be treated equally, and if that's what other people would face, then I guess that's fair.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, though. This story was really weird because it's like this dude was just this world famous guy who just surpassed all expectations of him and became this superstar of an athlete despite his disability. And then, like, he just fell from grace almost. It was
like he just went out on a limb.
Oh, my God. You're the worst. So do you think that he, based on what I've told you, do you think that he could have just committed this murder out of anger?
He could have. It could go both ways. How the hell could I know?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
You claim to be a profiler, so I'm trying to figure out.
I could profile it, but I'm not going out on a limb here.
Oh my God. Okay. On that note, thanks everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I wanted to do something for Russ that was sport related because we did a child crime last time and he was very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, so I also told Jess I'm not doing any child crimes anymore.
Yeah, he's not.
I think that's it.
He really hates them. So we're not going to do anything about crimes against children anymore. So that's why I told him this story, because it's like athletic and sport related.
And I think sometimes when those child crimes happen, I just get a little more quiet. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to let her tell this.
It makes you sad.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I know.
You know? I don't like any of, people dying, but those are a little rough. And some people feel the same way.
Yeah, they do.
But
they do.
The episode was still a good episode because it's coming from Wife of Crime.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a wonderful week. Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, and Facebook, Wife of Crime, The Crime Family, and Patreon, Wife of Crime, The Crime Family.
Oh, yeah, and we got a TikTok. Jess put a couple TikToks up there.
Yeah, we started our TikTok, and we're going to keep making some videos, and I'm just going to keep spontaneously annoying Russ when he doesn't expect it. So I have to wait a little while now because he's expecting it.
TikTok is Wife of Crime Pod?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't got a TikTok, but I could see it.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a wonderful week, everyone. Oh, yeah, and just stay tuned for the merch. We're getting samples this week, and as long as I like the samples, we're going to be putting our merch store out for everybody, and we'll keep you posted on that because I've had a lot of messages about it.
Just stay tuned for that. Get swagged up, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.